Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, the show that helps you sort through all of the trends, new and old, of the fitness world. We'll talk about yoga, running, Zumba, weightlifting, and everything in between. Whether you've got your fitness routine down to a science or you're just starting out and looking for direction, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to GSMC Fitness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia, and as always, happy to be back, new week, recording a new episode for you guys. I love doing these episodes. It keeps me sane, keeps me busy, being cooped up at home. It's been hard, but we'll get through it. Last time I saw you guys, let's see. I signed up something new actually. I signed up for this trading investment academy. So this academy is going to be teaching me a new skill set of how to trade my money on the foreign exchange market, how to multiply my money essentially, and how to make money in my sleep. That's my goal. And so it's going to be teaching me about financial literacy. And I'm really excited about it. It's also kind of nerve-wracking just because I am putting myself in a position, that I'm uncomfortable in. I'm very unfamiliar with the subject. It's unfamiliar territory with me. And to top it off, I'm terrible when it comes to numbers and like graphs and all that. I don't know if any of you guys are currency traders as well, but this stuff is like a lot. It's a lot of info and it's pretty dense, and especially for a newbie like me, it's a little overwhelming, but I know just like with fitness, and exercise and nutrition, as long as I'm consistent and just have patience, I know I'll get there. I know I'll be profitable. I'll be successful. So I'm not tripping too hard, but just keeping you guys in the loop of what's going on in my life, what's new. And, you got to put yourself in situations in which you're uncomfortable in, because that's the only way you'll be able to grow. Okay. Put yourself in situations that are going to make you uncomfortable. So besides, this is not the finance podcast. I know that this is a fitness podcast. And as you may tell by today's title, weight loss FAQs, weight loss frequently asked questions. In today's episode, we'll be diving in more into the discussion of weight loss, fat loss. Specifically, I'll be addressing common questions and concerns regarding this topic. There's a lot of information and misinformation out there regarding the quickest and easiest way to drop fat, aka finding a shortcut such as detox teas. And I believe this mindset is the first mistake people make and why many don't see any progress or much progress. When it comes to your diet, your main focus shouldn't be on fast and easy, but rather what diet is sustainable for you, what will work for you in the long run. When choosing or trying out a diet, you need to make a conscious decision and switch your mindset to, this is a lifestyle change. This is for the long run. Don't aim for temporary. Because if you aim for temporary and quick result or quick fixes, you're going to get temporary results, okay? And this applies whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, or maintain. A common mistake I see happen is that people will start a diet just because their friend Sally did, and she, lost all this weight. She looks amazing. She looks good. A really popular one I hear about is keto, in which you're essentially cutting out carbs and sugar from your diet. I feel like keto has been the latest fad in the health and wellness world. A lot of people are doing it. Many succeed and many don't. This may have worked for Sally, but it may not work for you. Okay. All of our bodies function differently and they all operate differently. It may be sustainable for Sally, but it may not be sustainable for you. And this is a common mistake people do. They hop on whatever trendy diet, fad diet their friends are doing, and then they're left with great disappointment when it doesn't work out for them. And I'm going to use myself as a perfect example for this. I know that I would not be successful following a keto diet, okay? I love carbs too much. I just know I would not be able to cut them out like I love them, okay? So keto would not be a good choice for me. But there are a few people in my family who follow the keto diet and have seen amazing results and who look great. Of course, they are losing weight because they're cutting out an entire macronutrient. Essentially, you're cutting out carbs. And some love it and they're like, this is a lifestyle change. This is a forever thing. And others are like, they followed it and they fall off it because it just wasn't sustainable. And sustainability is the key when it comes to your fitness goals, okay? What's going to be a lifestyle change? And speaking about carbs, that's going to be our first question that we address here and dissect together. So the first frequently asked question that I receive regarding carbs are, do carbs make you fat? Okay? Do carbs make you fat? Carbs are a hot debated topic, especially in the weight loss world, due in part to diets such as the Atkins, Dukan, South Beach, and now ketogenic diet. The idea that carbs are bad has left many people confused about carbohydrates and their importance for our health, including maintaining a healthy weight. Carbs are a broad category and not all carbs are the same. It's the type, quality, and quantity of carbohydrates in our diet that's important. Carbs are one of the main building blocks, also known as macronutrients, that make up all food alongside protein and fat. These macronutrients are essential for the body to function. Carbs can be further split up into three groups known as sugars, starch, and dietary fiber. So let's start off with what sugars are. Sugars are simple, short-chained compounds, also known as monosaccharides and disaccharides, found in fruit like apples and, the demonized white sugar. They taste sweet and tend to be highly palatable, aka, they taste good. The second type of carb are starches. Starch is a longer chain of sugar compounds, also known as polysaccharides. This type includes things such as bread, pasta, grains, potatoes, essentially all the things that I really love and I know that I will not be able to give up. And then the third group of carbs are dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is like the odd one out. It's also a polysaccharide like starch, but the gut can't digest it. Remember, almost all foods that people call carbohydrates actually contain a combination of all these three types of carbs alongside with protein and fat. Apart from table sugar, it's rare to find something that's purely a carb. That's just not how food tends to work. So why do we need carbs, okay? Carbs are important to your health for several reasons. One being energy, okay? Carbs should be your body's main source of energy in a healthy, balanced diet. They're broken down into the glucose, also known as sugar, before being absorbed into your body or into your blood. The glucose then enters your body's cells with the help of insulin. Glucose is used by your body for energy, fueling your activities, whether that's going for a run or simply breathing. Unused glucose can be converted to glycogen, which is found in the liver and muscles. If more glucose is consumed that can be stored as glycogen, it's converted to fat for long-term storage of energy. Starchy carbohydrates that are high in fiber release glucose into the blood slower than sugary foods and drinks. So why do we need carbs? Energy. It's literally our body's fuel. And without it, you will be grumpy and cranky. And that's why as a health coach, a personal trainer, I would never ever suggest, this is me personally, I would never suggest or tell a client, an individual, to cut out carbs to lose weight. I would never, ever. Carbs are essential, okay? They're the 3 main building blocks that our body needs and, for nutrients and energy. So if you have a health coach that tells you to cut out carbs, I suggest you get a new health coach because they don't know what they're talking about. Unless they're your health coach for a bikini competition, prep, or bodybuilding, that's completely different. They follow different standards, different nutrition plan. But for the average person, you're not going to want to cut out carbs, okay? That's going to make you cranky and irritable and a whole bunch of other stuff that we'll get into right after this commercial break.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So in the previous segment, we started to dissect a little bit the question of, do carbs make you fat? And we started to talk about why do we need carbs? First one being for energy levels. Carbs are our body's main source of energy. So the second reason why we need carbs is for disease risk. Fiber is an important part of a healthy, balanced diet. It can promote good bowel health, reduce the risk of constipation, and some forms of fiber have been shown to reduce cholesterol levels. Research shows diets high in fiber are associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and bowel cancer. Many people, in fact, don't get enough fiber. I know I've touched on this in the Health and Wellness, GSMC Health and Wellness podcast, and I most likely have talked about it in this episode, or not in this episode, but in this podcast as well. Fiber is so essential, and most Americans just don't consume enough of it. We're more focused on, are we getting enough protein rather than fiber, when it should be the other way around. And carbs are able to supplement that void, or that fiber intake. Third reason why, we need carbs is for calorie intake. Carbs contain fewer calories gram for gram than fat. 4 calories per gram for carbs than 9 calories per gram for fat. Also, starchy foods can be a good source of fiber, which means they can be a useful part of maintaining a healthy weight. By replacing fatty, sugary foods and drinks with higher fiber, starchy foods, it's more likely you'll reduce the number of calories in your diet. Also, high fiber foods add bulk to your meal, helping you feel full. So this leads to the next frequently asked question regarding carbs. Should I cut out carbs? While we can survive without sugar, it would be difficult to eliminate carbs entirely from your diet. And here's why. Again, reiterating my previous point. Carbohydrates are the body's main source of energy. In their absence, your body will use protein and fat for energy. It may also be hard to get enough fiber, which is important for long-term health. Healthy sources of carbohydrates such as higher fiber, starchy foods, vegetables, fruits, and legumes are also an important source of nutrients such as calcium, iron, and B vitamins. Significantly reducing carbohydrates from your diet in the long term could mean you do not get enough nutrients, potentially leading to health problems, okay? And replacing carbohydrates with fats and higher fat sources of protein could increase your intake of saturated fat, which can raise the amount of cholesterol in your blood, a risk factor for heart disease. So when you're low on glucose, the body breaks down stored fat to convert it into energy. This process causes a buildup of ketones in the blood, resulting in ketosis. This can cause headaches, weakness, feeling sick, dehydration, dizziness, and irritability. And that's the exact issue with a lot of these diets, such as keto. You may have heard of someone of having the keto flu, in which they feel queasy, energy levels are depleted, and overall just feel like crap. Well, this is because you essentially just eliminated a fat chunk of your energy sources, carbs, okay? So instead of eliminating carbs, carbs entirely, try to limit the amount of sugary foods you eat and instead include healthier sources of carbohydrates in your diet, such as whole grains, potatoes, vegetables, fruits, and legumes. So revisiting that question, should I cut out carbohydrates? My professional opinion, my answer is no. Unless you are prepping for a bikini competition, you are in bodybuilding, but the majority of us don't fall in either of those categories. So do not cut out carbs. Next question. Or not really a question, but more of a concern. Good versus bad carbs. Is it a thing? If you ask me, it's not really a thing. I'm not going to talk about this for very long because there are hundreds of articles on the internet giving you lists of carbohydrates that you should and shouldn't eat, pitting them up against each other like some sort of gladiator fight to the death. I'm not going to do that. Of course, certain foods have more nutrients than others. And yes, the fibrous carbs are going to have the best overall impact on your health. But can you do me a favor though, people? Stop seeing food, let's stop seeing as food doesn't have a moral value. Can we stop using the words good and bad when it comes to what we eat? It's not helpful, and I'd argue it's actually harmful to our relationship with food. It's possible to recognize the hierarchy of benefit that certain foods have without demonizing others to the extent of exclusion and restriction. Now, let's get onto the main reason why I felt the need to, address this issue. Why do people believe that carbs make us fat? It's called the carbohydrate insulin hypothesis. This is why. I'm about to get a little bit nerdy on you guys, so just bear with me and listen up. Hypotheses in science are made to be tested, right? The problem with this particular one is that it's been falsified, also known as proven incorrect, on multiple occasions, yet those who hold carbohydrates responsible for obesity have all built massive careers off of it and would have much to lose by recognizing that fact. Money has a habit of ruining objective science, unfortunately. When we eat carbohydrates, Those polysaccharides and disaccharides have to be broken down by enzymes in our gut before our small intestine can absorb the resulting monosaccharides. After absorption, the subsequent rise in our blood sugar stimulates the release of insulin, which enables the cells to take up glucose and use it as an energy source. Stay with me here, you guys. I know it's a lot. Insulin also has a job of signaling the liver to store excess glucose as glycogen. The liver can only store a certain amount of glycogen at one time. So anything extra then gets converted to fat for longer term storage, also under the control of insulin. People usually freak out about that last bit, but relax. Fat storage is both normal and essential for proper functioning of the human body. Okay? The only people who should have tremendously low fat storage are, again, bodybuilders or individuals who are prepping for a bikini competition. Fat storage, fat breakdown, the whole thing is in a constant state of flux. Glucose is the most important fuel source for the body. Due to the fact that we don't eat every minute of the day, there are times when our blood sugar levels need increasing. That's when the previously stored glycogen gets broken down back into glucose. Fat can also be broken down to help, with fatty acids then being converted into glucose through a process called glucogenesis. As glucose, it is in our brain's preferential source of energy. There are many mechanisms in place to keep our blood glucose level stable. It's a no-brainer. Pun intended. Got it? When these mechanisms aren't functioning properly in conditions such as diabetes, our health tends to suffer. Since insulin upregulates fat storage and downregulates fat metabolism, it seemed reasonable to test the hypothesis that if we kept insulin stimulation at a minimum by restricting carbs, it might be easier to mobilize and use fat for energy. Yet, before it could be tested fully, people started preemptively claiming that low-carb diets, originally Atkins, more recently now called ketogenic diet, were best for weight loss, and insulin stimulation was the reason for weight gain and obesity. There are lots of nuances to this hypothesis, with many different elements having subsequently been proven incorrect, but there isn't time to go into all of them in today's podcast. So let's focus on the main one. In science, a hypothesis becomes proven incorrect when an integral part of it is shown to be wrong. The theory that insulin stimulation directly causes weight gain can be tested by comparing rates of weight loss between people on a high-carb diet versus a low-carb diet, when calories and protein levels are kept the exact same. If the theory is correct, those on the low-carb diet should lose more weight due to a lower stimulation of insulin. The best way to test this out is through utilizing metabolic ward studies. These create a highly controlled environment with participants living and sleeping at the lab for the duration of the study. All movement and food intake is measured and recorded. I can't imagine it's particularly pleasant for those involved in this study. I don't think I'd be able to do it. Fortunately for us, this hypothesis has been appropriately tested time and time again over the last 3 decades. This 2017 systematic review and meta-analysis by Hall and Guo looked at 32 different metabolic ward studies. The results were outstandingly clear. When calories and protein are controlled, there's no energy expenditure or weight loss benefit from eating a low-carb diet over a high-carb diet. So in the end, weight manipulation comes down to calorie control, aka caloric deficit. I've emphasized on this point in the previous episode that I did last week. Weight manipulation comes down to calorie control, not insulin control. So again, let's revisit the question. Do carbs make you fat? The answer is no. Any food can cause weight gain if you eat too much. Whether your diet is high in fat or high in carbs, if you frequently consume more energy than your body uses, you're likely to gain weight. Even if you eat, supposedly super clean, if your calorie count is higher than what you are expending, you will gain weight. So the true and most sustainable way to lose weight and to keep the weight off is through a caloric deficit. And you guys, I'm going to cut into another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to dive into our next frequently asked question. I want to talk to you guys about this amazing product I've been using lately called Hydrant. If you're like me and you want to kick the coffee habit, but you're worried about your energy levels depleting, to avoid the morning sluggishness and that midday slump, you need to make sure you're hydrated. It's super important. And that's where I've been using Hydrant. And for 25% off your first order, you can go to drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC at checkout. Hydrant is basically flavored electrolyte packets you mix directly into your water to make hydrating your body easy and delicious. And what I love about Hydrant, it's backed by research. The formula was developed by Oxford scientists to provide perfectly balanced, efficient hydration. Again, that's drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC for 25% off your first order. Another really cool thing about Hydrant, there's no synthetic colors or artificial sweeteners. The formula is vegan and you can choose between 3 different flavors or a variety pack. So for all my vegan friendly fellows out there, this one's for you. Again, this is drinkhydrant.com and enter promo code GSMC.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So we finally were able to answer the first frequently asked question of, should I cut out carbs? Do carbs make you fat? And the answer to both of those are no. You don't need to cut out carbs to lose weight, and carbs do not make you fat. Eating too much of anything will make you, air quote, fat. So let's dissect our next frequently asked question here, which is, what's better, cardio or weights for fat loss? Another common misconception, and I totally understand why. This used to be my way of thinking as well. My thought process used to be lifting weights equals looking bulky and manly. But I couldn't be more wrong. I proved myself wrong, and I'm so glad that I did. Like I said, people are shocked to hear when I tell them that I was able to lose 30 pounds in 6 months by lifting weights and not by cardio. I literally didn't do any cardio besides take a few dance classes here and there, but besides that, none. What's better, cardio or weights for fat loss? It's a timeless question. Which one's better? And we get it. You want to feel as if you're working out in the best way to hit your goals, whether they be increasing strength or changing your body composition. So do you need to drip and sweat to see success, or will heavy lifting help you reach your goals? To be honest, I drip in success. I drip and sweat whether I do cardio or weightlifting. I'm just a very sweaty person. I don't know if my pores are just extremely large, but I definitely envy those who don't sweat while they work out. Rather than prescribe a one-size-fits-all approach, we're going to lay out the facts to help you understand which route is best for you. As a baseline, the NHS recommends adults to do at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity a week, as well as strengthening activities that work all the major muscle groups, such as your legs, hips, back, abdomen, chest, shoulders, and arms, and at least twice a week. But what those minutes are made up of is really up to you. In one corner, we have cardio. That's your running, walking, swimming, if you're lucky enough to be self-isolating with the pool right now, cycling, or anything that raises your heart rate, HIIT cardio. On the other side is weight training. This can span from strength training to circuits and anything that includes high-intensity movements performed in a shorter period of time. But first things first, let's look at the benefits of each training style. So we're going to first talk about the benefits of cardiovascular exercise and then move on to weight training. So the first one being that cardiovascular exercise improves heart health. Cardio really does what it says on the tin, namely improve your cardiovascular heart health and how efficiently it's able to work under pressure. If you've taken up running in lockdown, you'll be familiar with how cardio can improve your heart's ability to keep you trucking on. The first run probably felt as if you were about to pass out, your heart beating wildly in your chest, but by the third or fourth time you ventured out for a jog, you can breathe heavily, but the holy hell make this stop element has largely been removed. That's your heart pumping oxygen more efficiently around your body while you exercise. That's pretty cool, right? Second cardiovascular benefit is that it regulates your appetite. If you're prone to lockdown snacking, who isn't? A cardiovascular workout might be the thing to curb general snarfing of everything in the pantry. A study found that people who did high intensity cardio, like moderate pace running or cycling or a HIIT workout, ate 11% in the 24 hours following. Although we'd like to meet these people, pass me the carbs is normally how it goes to the WH office post the body coach. But exercising at such an intensity causes your body to circulate more blood to prevent overheating. This is what metabolism expert Dr. Andy Blannon explained. As such, blood is diverted away from your stomach and around your body, which according to Dr. Blannon can put the kibosh on your appetite. Next cardiovascular benefit is that it aids in fat loss. Minute for minute, cardiovascular exercise burns more calories than weight training due to the continuous nature of intensity, and as such helps you burn fat as part of a wider, healthy diet. However, the type you go for really does depend on your goal. Low intensity steady state cardio, also known as LISS, is best for those with large weight loss goals, while HIIT, high intensity interval training, is the best for retaining existing muscle, stimulating fat burning enzymes while also raising your heart rate. U.S. research actually found that those who chose aerobic exercise over solely strength training lost only goal year after. Maintaining muscle is equally as crucial if you're after a toned, sculpted aesthetic. That's where weight training can come in. More on this later. Next benefit of cardiovascular benefit is that it's budget friendly. A huge upside of cardiovascular training is that you really don't need much, there's no kit, very little equipment is required. Running, walking, and high intensity body weight workouts are all completely free ways to work out. And so as you're being responsible and doing them at a decent social distance from others, have at it. Next cardiovascular benefit is that it boosts brain power. As we age, our brains gradually lose tissue. This starts from around the age of 30 and has a marked effect on our cognitive performance. Cardiovascular exercise has been linked to significantly reducing the amount of brain tissue lost over time, with one study showing that those who regularly exercise in this way had the most robust brain tissue. Basically, what it's saying is just get sweaty and get sharp. Get sweaty and stay sharp. Next cardiovascular benefit is that it helps maintain healthy blood pressure levels. If high blood pressure is something you contend with, cardiovascular exercise can help to lower it to healthy levels, with one study showing robust data proving the effectiveness of endurance exercise, such as steady state cardio, walking, jogging, cycling, swimming, any of those, as decreasing blood pressure levels in sedentary adults who don't move much. And the final cardiovascular benefit that I'll be mentioning here is that it protects your immune system. A strong immune system has always been important, but now in the era of COVID-19, it's talked about more than ever. Fortunately, getting some daily cardio movement in each day will help keep your immune system ticking over at peak efficiency. Research has shown that regular and moderate exercise has favorable effects on the immune system by increasing immunoglobulins, which are immune system protecting molecules produced from your white blood cells. So there you guys have it in a nutshell. Some of the amazing benefits of cardiovascular exercise. Again, I'll reiterate them. Cardiovascular exercise improves heart health, regulates appetite, aids in fat loss. It's budget friendly. You don't need any equipment. It boosts brain power, helps maintain healthy blood pressure levels, and protects your immune system. So amazing benefits. Honestly, I think I need to remind myself of these benefits because I'm going to be honest, you guys, I am not a fan of cardio. I dread cardio, even HIIT cardio. I'm definitely more of a weight training junkie now, which is crazy because as I mentioned already on multiple occasions, when I embarked on my fitness journey, I was a cardio junkie. I stayed away from the weight room, and now it's the opposite. I want to stay away from treadmills and Stairmasters because I just hate the feeling of my legs burning. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you guys are more of a cardio junkie or more of a weight training junkie. And you guys, we're going to cut into another very short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the benefits of weight training.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So we just got done talking about some of the great benefits of implementing cardio into your workout regimen. So let's now dive into the benefits of weight training, my favorite type of training. The first thing is the obvious, is that it builds muscle. It shouldn't be a surprise that lifting weights can build muscle and sculpt muscle. Training with weights places more resistance on your muscles, meaning the tissue is broken down more quickly. This triggers the body's response to clean up and heal the tissue, growing muscle in the process while building strength and endurance. The fancy word for this process is called hypertrophy. So basically getting your muscles even bigger. While you can build muscle with just your body weight, calisthenics training is a testament to that. The more stress or load your muscles are placed under will force them to work harder and grow more quickly. So to push your muscles to the point of change or growth, regularly training them to fatigue is important. Like say if you can do 100 reps with a 3 kilogram dumbbell, it might be time to level up. With any sort of weight training program, though, simple is best. Like, especially if you're a beginner, you're better off having a more basic plan that you stick to for a year than the most robust muscle building advanced plan that you only stick to for a month. And so just gradually build your progress in that way. Make sure you earn your progress, if that makes sense. The other upshot of building muscle is that it boosts your BMR, also known as your basal metabolic rate, which increases the amount of calories your body burns per day as muscle requires more sustained energy, which leads us nicely into weight training benefit number 3, is that weight training boosts metabolism and fat loss. Hello, I can absolutely, back that claim up because I, for one, was able to boost my metabolism and increase my fat loss. You heard it right, you guys. Weight training equals to increased lean muscle mass, which equals to higher metabolic rate, which equals to more calories burned. While you'll most likely burn more calories during cardiovascular exercise, weight training will keep that slow burn going on all day long, leading to a larger and more sustained calorie burn. Muscle is more metabolically active than fat. So the more you gain, the more calories you'll burn. And the more likely you are able to keep that fat off. So weight training can be especially important in helping women lose body fat, with the University of Alabama study showing greater belly fat loss in women who weightlifted as compared to those who just performed cardiovascular exercise such as running, jumping, skipping, whatever the case may be. The fourth benefit of weight training is that it protects your bones. It increases bone density. Weight-bearing exercises, and this can mean body weight or with added resistance, help to promote good bone health. Unfortunately, for those of us who sit at a desk most of the day, our bones are not loving that life and require a little extra force to stay strong and resilient. Walking, jogging, lunging, squatting, and light circuits are all good examples of weight-bearing exercises that can promote bone health. The secret is not to go overboard. Exercising excessively can be bad for the joints. It's, too much stress on the joints. 3 times a week for at least half an hour, that's enough. But obviously, if you go 5 times a week, that's all right as well. Next weight-bearing benefit is that it relieves stress. If you've done it, you'll know. Lifting a weight that was previously out of your ability or comfort zone can make you feel super strong, okay? And move the stressors of your daily life to the back burner. Luckily, the evidence on this isn't just anecdotal. The International Journal of Sports Medicine found markedly decreased cortisol levels in people who weight trained for 2 weeks, okay? That is, wow, insane, okay? And it releases endorphins. It literally makes you happier. Weight-bearing exercises also aid in sleep. Weight training relieves stress and helps you drift off. What is the sorcery, right? According to clinics in sports medicine, Weight training tires your muscles while the drop in cortisol helps you maintain a more peaceful slumber all night long. So I like the sound of that, okay? Who doesn't want better sleep? Don't we all? So again, what is the verdict? Which is better for fat loss? Cardio or weights? Which one should you do? So here's my answer, my professional opinion. Weight training is best for fat loss and building lean muscle. However, cardio will help with weight loss, improving cardiovascular health, and uncovering the muscle you've sculpted. So if you're looking to tone up while also sculpting muscle, I'd say doing a variety of each week is the best way to achieve your body composition and aesthetic goals. Let's not eliminate one or the other. Let's try to do both. Again, this is something that I try to tell myself all the time as well, because I am just like so anti-cardio right now. I'm not a fan, but I need to remind myself, like, really what I have to remind myself is that it's good for my heart health. Unfortunately, my family history, we have a family history of heart disease, heart murmurs, heart attacks, strokes, all of that stuff. So heart health really should be an essential aspect in my health and wellness journey. And I need to remind myself that implementing cardio into my workout regimen will help me with that and will help me with my heart health. So I'm there with you guys. If you are like more into weightlifting, such as myself, trust me, I feel you, but we got to do it. Okay. That's what discipline is. I talked all about discipline in last week's episode and how we got to do things that we don't want to do, things that we necessarily don't like, but it's going to help us in the long run. And I'm going to share with you guys my, professional recommendation. If your main goal is weight loss, fat loss, what you should do and what actually, worked for me. The first one being to track your calories. I know this may be a hassle for some. Again, part of the discipline aspect of fitness. Tracking your calories, you guys, is so helpful, especially if you're trying to lose weight. There are so many great calorie counter tracking apps out there. I personally use MyFitnessPal, and this app specifically tells me what my maintenance calories are. So your maintenance calories are basically how, the calories you eat to maintain your current weight. You're not losing or gaining anything. And that from knowing my maintenance calories, I'm able to figure out what my calorie deficit is and what my calorie surplus is. Like, how many calories do I need to increase to gain weight? How many calories do I need to decrease to lose weight? So you don't need to do this for your entire, fitness journey, but I would suggest, especially if you're just starting out, track your calories for 10 to 14 days. And then after the 10 to 14 days, you'll have a general idea of how much you're actually eating or how little you're actually eating. So that would be my number one recommendation to losing weight. Track your calories. Second is to drink plenty of water. Water. Especially if you have a bloating problem like myself, water is the key. Water literally flushes out all the toxins out of your body, and that helps with bloating. So drink plenty of water. Next, we just said it. Incorporate a mixture of weightlifting and cardio, but I'd say to aim more for weights. Again, weights aids in fat loss and building lean muscle mass. If you just do cardio, you are more susceptible to losing the muscle mass you already have and just become skin and bones, basically. And then my last and final, it's not even just a recommendation, this is like necessary, is you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to burn more calories than what you are consuming. You need to expend more and eat less. But this doesn't mean to starve yourself. This doesn't mean to lower your calories to 500 a day. That is literally not sustainable and just not healthy. And you guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I answered some of my top frequently asked questions as a personal trainer. Again, we'll go through those very quickly. First one being, do carbs make you fat? No, carbs do not make you fat. Anything can make you fat if you eat too much of it. Do we need carbs? Yes, you absolutely need carbs for energy, disease risk, and calorie intake and fiber intake. Should I cut out carbs? No, you shouldn't cut out carbs unless you're following a very special nutritional plan. If you're prepping for a body prep, a body weight competition, but not body weight, a bodybuilding competition or a bikini prep competition. Other than that, majority of us don't fall into that category. So no, do not cut out carbs. And final question, what's better for fat loss, cardio or weights? They both have their pros and cons. I would aim more for weight loss, but still sprinkle in some cardio in there. And that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to what I had to say. Hopefully you found all of this information very useful and insightful and valuable. If you liked what I had to discuss on today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff, because that tremendously helps the show. And I will catch you guys here next week.
You've been listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and any app where you listen to podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, we cover it all. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and listen to these podcasts on YouTube. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.